Hey, Chris Liepe here with how to sing higher if you're a baritone. I'm making this video because in almost every single video I've made about how to sing higher, I've gotten that question. And it's a valid question because tenors have higher voices than baritones. Or do they? I want to clear up some misconceptions about what's possible with a baritone voice. I want to give you some examples, and I want to give you two practical ways, if you're a baritone, to free your higher range, to sing higher, to do things with your voice from a range perspective that you never thought you'd be able to do. Yes, even though you're a baritone.
If this doesn't make you free, it doesn't mean you're tired. If this doesn't take you down, it doesn't mean you're high. If this doesn't make you smile, well, you don't have to cry. If this isn't making sense, it doesn't make it alive in the super unknown, alive in the super unknown, alive in the super unknown. First it steals your mind and then it steals your...
If you'd like more help with your voice and you'd like me to personally come alongside you and be your vocal coach, the best place to start is by clicking the link below and joining my free course. There's lots of ways that we can work from there, but that's the best place to start. All right, the first sort of mind shift we're going to make as a baritone is that we're going to consider that the classification of baritone has more to do with timbre, texture, and girth than it does actually what notes you can sing. Lest you disagree with me and say, well, but these tenors can sing higher notes than... Not always. That's a generalization that bites a lot of baritones because they tend to go, well, I'm a baritone, I couldn't possibly sing that stuff. But Chris Cornell, Ian Thornley from Big Wreck, Axl Rose, these are baritones that sing really, really high. And what we miss if we're not careful is that tenors use the same methods to really blast out an amazing range as baritones do. But because baritones are girthier and thicker, particularly in their chest voice, and the contrast is greater when they go to their mixed voice, we tend to think that tenors just have a better range in general or they can sing higher. But really, we're just not hearing the transition. We're not hearing the fact that the tenor's mixed voice is a lot closer sounding to his chest voice just because his chest voice is thinner or less complex. Here are a few examples so we can actually put some meaning behind what I'm saying here. Gary LaVox, Rascal Flatts.
If you're going my way,
Even listen to him in his lower resonance. Yeah. His voice is thinner than mine, right? It's this, if I do that, yeah, even if I try to thin it out, there's that whiny thing that happens when I try to thin out my voice. His is naturally thin. But we go over here, right there. I wanna drive it all night long. He's blending, he's mixing, he's doing the exact same thing that I'm doing, but there's more contrast going on there. Next example, Brad Delp. He is not hitting that note because he's a tenor. He is hitting that note, walking away. He is hitting that note because he has learned to blend his resonances together. You can tell less because the tone of his higher notes is closer to the tone and timbre of his lower notes. When I do that, there's a bigger difference, but I'm still hitting the notes. And to clarify, when you look at my chest range and my resonance, I am not a tenor. I am a high baritone. Brad Delp is a high tenor. But again, we need to get our minds around the fact that let's not let the word baritone be limiting to our range. You learn how to use your mixed voice. You learn how to blend resonances, and you learn how to access your head voice better. Work with your head voice. You will be able to unlock these notes. Case in point, my next example. Ian Thornley, Big Wreck. Love his voice, by the way. Before I wake, one last cup of starlight. Good compression. Oh, incredible voice. Very, very baritone, right? That's very different than Brad Delp. Listen to what happens. Well, that's so. Using nasality, starting to mix a little bit. I'm okay. Yeah. Do you hear the difference in timbre that's happening? It's much more similar to my voice. There's this crowishness that happens. There's the mixed voice. There's compression. There's all sorts of things that I've talked about in other videos. And there's a greater contrast. It's the same technique as the tenors, but you don't hear the contrast. This is where I for a long, long time, I had this idea of, well, I can't hit that note. He's got a higher voice than me. We just have to realize the approach is where it's at. Let's listen to a little bit more of Ian. There it is! Albatross for one more day. Yeah! With all that grit and all that wonderful compression-y, baritone-y glory. Don't let the term or the typecast or the label baritone keep you from this kind of wonderfulness. Last but not least example, Chris Cornell. This is the live or video version of Fell on Black Days, and I want to highlight something in particular about his voice. Chris Cornell is very, very fun to listen to live because you get a lot of neatness. You notice a lot of things that you wouldn't normally notice. Listen to this next line. This is partly a stylistic thing and what makes Cornell's voice so interesting and fun. But listen to how, as he goes up, he changes his resonance, his placement, his tone. Ah, right there. Seem to greet. This is not. Now, Chris Cornell is a baritone, just like Ian Thornley. Seem to greet me with a smile. No, he's setting himself up by changing his placement, changing his resonance, using that crow, nasality, using more compression. And the dying cat thing that I've talked about in so many other videos. Seem to greet me with a smile. Notice the timbre change. Very similar to what we heard Ian Thornley do. The tenors are doing this also. Yes, they might be doing it in a little bit higher range or they transition differently, but we don't hear it in the same way as we do the baritones. Again, Chris Cornell's not a tenor and can sing notes in his developed mixed voice all around where these tenors are. He's every bit on top of those notes like Brad Delp is. Let's listen to another section here of this song. fiddly chest.
Sit around and change. Sit around and change.
That's not just a shouted B4. It's not no. Thinned it out, added the compression back in. Change! So don't mind the change. Here I'm changing my resonance around. So don't mind the change. It's a baritone voice hitting that B4 in mixed voice. Now there's a section at the end where he hits that D5.
This could be my fate. I wanna know that this could be my.
He's so good at thickening up his mix. But that, how would I know? It sounds so much higher when I'm not thickening. How would I know that this could be my fate? The key thing to remember here, and I think I've shown this through these illustrations, is that it's more about your approach and how you use what you have, accepting that the sound is going to be different if you're a baritone versus a tenor. So, what are the things that we want to do to sing higher as a baritone? The first is what I just said. Accept that you can sing the notes, for the most part, that tenors sing. There might be some that you can't touch, but it's not nearly what the excuse monsters would have you believe. And here's the second thing. Really, really get in tune with using your head voice in your speaking. If I go, hey, everybody, this is the start. This is where I tell everybody to start when they want to start singing higher or when they want to start developing their mixed voice. If you are a baritone, likely, if you're not an experienced singer, you have developed a habit of being very much comfortable in your normal speech range, your normal talking voice, just like this, yada, 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 yada. If you practice going up and down with your head voice here and there, that's what Ian Thornley's doing. That's what Chris Cornell's doing in these songs. But we as baritones need to be able to access those different resonances in a seamless way if we're going to hit those notes. And we are going to need to be transitioning sooner and make more use of our head voice, more so that we can make more use of our mixed voice, because more notes that we sing are going to be utilizing mixed voice than a Gary LaVox or a Brad Delp or some other tenor. So we need to be aware of that, and we need to be aware of how important it is, and I'm doing it right now, how important it is that we utilize our head voice in our speaking voice. I'm exaggerating that a little bit too much, maybe. Start doing that as a baritone, and then look for ways with your voice to scale around that. Throw your voice up into your head voice. Get back down into your chest voice. Hey, everybody! Yeah, everybody! Mess with your vowels. Mess with your placement, just like these guys. Crow it up. Hey, everybody! That's pure head voice. Add a little more compression. Hey, everybody! Hey, everybody! Hey, everybody! And then that's a whole other level of ways that you can be higher and grittier, and it's compression, it's being very comfortable with your vocal break. There's all sorts of things that you can do to create awesome range with your baritone voice. I encourage you to keep going and pursue these kinds of things. Hopefully this was helpful, seeing and hearing these examples. Baritones, go to battle. Not really. Baritones, start using your head voice more and realize that the tenors and the baritones have a lot more in common than you think. We'll see you for more.